I built my entire workflow on Windows. For many years, I use Windows. Azure CLI, Docker, Terraform, GitHub Actions, VS Code, DaVinci Resolve, OBS, all of it on Windows for many years. I'm a DevOps engineer, I'm a creator, and I'm a programmer. And not a single discipline developer, someone who runs cloud infrastructure, builds CI/CD pipelines, records, edit videos, and codes daily. My workflow spans through all of that. So I do quite a bit with my computers. Well, I've used a MacBook before. Yes, 2 actually. MacBook Pros. But the thing is, this year I decided to give the MacBook M5 here a very big chance and use it every single day. Well, almost every single day. Because some days I just don't press computers. And thing is, I'm giving you an honest account of what has worked for me and what surprised me genuinely about the M5 MacBook here, and what I really miss about Windows, because yes, I still use Windows for this, and what I decided at the end in my multi-OS setup, and if the MacBook M5 here is still gonna be my go-to day-to-day everyday computer. But first, I want to explain the tools I was testing and the concept you need to understand about the comparisons I'm making here, because this is not a specs video, to be honest. It's a workflow video, because I tell you, hey, I'm a multi-OS guy. I'm not biased about OS, at least not anymore. So this is about a workflow video and what is actually working for me right now using the M5 MacBook Air and what should probably change. And of course, if you have suggestions, my comment section are open for you. And I want to be clear about the lens here. This is not a general MacBook Air review, a MacBook Pro, a Mac versus Windows review. No, it's not. There are thousands of those you can go watch on other channels. This is what this channel is for. This is a pure developer review. It is a pure creator review. Most of the focus for me here will be about coding, but of course, relatively some video editing also in the mix. And this is for a multidisciplined technical person. Someone who does coding work, DevOps work, pipelines, cloud infra, every terminal operation. Someone who actually writes code, not someone who vibes code. Someone who actually writes and reviews code from day to day. And someone who creates content just like me and edits their own videos and does the publishing by themselves and does not hire anyone to do it. They do it all. They are one-person studio. If that is you and you built your workflow on Windows, this is the video you've been waiting for. And I'm going to start with the Windows subsystem for Linux, because that is one of the biggest things that has happened to Windows ever. So before I compare anything, you need to understand WSL, because it's central to why terminal comparison really matters. It's built into Windows, right? At least Windows 11, and it lets you run the Linux terminal without setting up a separate virtual machine manually by yourself. Why do developers and engineers actually use it? Because almost everything in the cloud and the infrastructure you write code for, they run on Linux. Azure VMs run Linux, AKS nodes run Linux, Docker containers and Linux. Well, we have some Windows One for those companies that are really super duper old. I don't know why people still do that. Having a real Linux terminal on your Windows computer means your commands, your scripts, and your tooling behave the same way locally as it will do in production. The only difference is the variables and environment you're running them on. To be honest, very honest to you, because this is what I've been doing for many years, WSL is genuinely good. I used it for years, but there's a catch. It is a compatibility layer. Occasionally, you hit quirks specific to that layer that does not exist on a real Linux computer. And I'm gonna be fair here, right? It has actually gotten way better than it was at the beginning, but there's still some quirks to it. The Mac terminal on the other hand is not a compatibility layer here. It is a Unix terminal natively. That distinction matters for the work that I do. Homebrew, the first thing that you install on Mac for most people that actually write code. On Windows, DevOps tools means downloading MSI installers, using Winget, running PowerShell scripts, every single thing, even trying to restore configuration and all that. On Mac, once you install Homebrew, a package manager, then install everything else with a single command. You install Azure CLI, install Terraform, install Git. Yes, there are also other package managers out there you can use. And Winget is actually, to be honest, catching up also, but it's just not quite there yet. A DevOps engineer used to apt or yum or Linux servers, Homebrew feels immediately familiar to you. You know the pattern to install a package manager, and you use it for every other thing, not manually downloading installers from every questionable website on the planet. For the tooling installation and management experience, to be honest, for an engineer, the Mac wins here. No MS installer. Yes, I know Microsoft announced a build that Homebrew is coming to Windows, but we know when that happens, there are probably going to be some bugs and all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm not dissing Microsoft. They are doing a great job. Good luck to them. But the thing is, Mac still wins yet. They're not trying to catch up. Part issues after installation that is native to Windows don't exist on Mac. Homebrew handles that very much cleanly. So here are the tools I use every single day for DevOps and cloud infra work. And these all had to work properly before the Mac will actually pass my litmus test. Azure CLI. I provision and manage and debug Azure resources from terminal dozens of times a day, even through AI. Okay, Brew install, easy login, done. Identical command experience WSL2, no questions, even to native Windows terminal. No questions asked there. Terraform, my infrastructure as code tool now. Yes, I used to use Bicep and Azure ARM, but now I know better. My infrastructure as code tooling now is Terraform. Azure ARM provider, Brew install, Terraform in this Terraform plan, apply, works natively. No WSL layer between Terraform and the file system. Means that slightly faster operations happen on Mac compared to Windows. That Docker desktop on Mac uses a lightweight VM for the Linux kernel. That is a little bit of an overhead, which makes it a bit slower. For development use, running containers, Docker Compose, building images, the performance difference versus WSL Docker rather, is not material. For every container workloads, my Lenovo chews through that because it has more RAM headroom. It has about 40 something gigs more than my MacBook here. And that's a decision, right, that I'm happy to live with. So my Mac does not win there for sure. So on DevOps tooling, it all works. In some cases, like Terraform, shell script, native Unix environment, which is slightly better than the WSL for the same operation, they are comparable. I don't miss any other one. I can jump on any of the machines and do my work effortlessly without stress. Now let's come to the coding tools. All right, when it comes to coding, I use VS Code, which is cross-platform, which is a very great and nice thing. My extensions, my settings, my GitHub Copilot, my Cloud Code, my codecs, they are all synced through my GitHub account when I sign in on my Mac. I open a C# project on the Mac on Windows. Copilot suggests my code, run the test, everything worked. Some quirks are there for the initial setup if it's a complex project, but once that is up and running, there are no more glitches to work with. The coding experience on Mac is identical to Windows. For the stack I run, especially the .NET I run, it runs natively on macOS, Azure SDK works, Azure CLI works. The only scenario where my Mac falls short is Windows-specific tooling or come interrupt with legacy.NET projects, which to be honest, I rarely do these days anyways. But if I need to, the Mac is going to struggle there. Standard cloud deployed in .NET applications, I have no issues and no complaints whatsoever. For GitHub Actions, normal authoring and debugging, the same experience, no difference between either ones, even though my Mac has just 24 gigabytes of RAM. There's no difference in that. Now, this is where Apple Silicon matters. And I really genuinely, with all I had in me and with all my biasness, I wanted my Mac to struggle here. It didn't. DaVinci Resolve on Apple Silicon handles my video footage effortlessly. H.265 4K multiple multiple video tracks, it handles them effortlessly. The timeline scrubs without proxy media, because I rarely ever use proxy media if I'm doing my edit, because I want to see how things really do work, because I don't want any excuses when my videos do come out. So for here, I'm using the M5 MacBook Air 15-inch with 24 gigs RAM. So 24 gigs unified memory. I still mess the RAM thing up. 24 gigabytes of unified memory on my M5 MacBook Air. Color grading with built-in color tools is pretty responsive. People say, yeah, probably the FCP Final Cut Pro is probably better and more responsive? I don't know because I don't use it. Why does this matter? The M5 chip combines the CPU, GPU, and memory on a single chip, on a single die. The GPU has direct access to unified memory tool for media work that is GPU accelerated, playback, rendering, color ops. This architecture is efficient in a way that a discrete GPU laptop is not. Now the truth is this: when I do want to render my videos because I need the time, okay, where I need maximum throughput and I still want to do many other things, this is where this baby shines. For exporting, I bring it over to Windows. The only minor step I need to do when I bring it over to Windows is to just relink my clips, and I'm pretty much good to go. Recording with OBS, for me, I've actually stopped recording on OBS, to be honest, as a content creator, because I want to have full control. I record my screens full screen natively on Windows, and I do my camera recording, bring everything together at the end, because I want granular control of everything and I don't want a second layer in between that. But if I had to, both of them would actually be fine. To be honest, they will be fine. But I've not actually installed OBS on my Mac for some reason. It means I actually don't use it anymore. Yes, I don't. Now, there are some really honest trade-offs I've had to make, because there are some things on Windows that still work for me. And it's just because I did not buy a MacBook Pro, right? It's because I did not buy a MacBook Pro. I bought a MacBook Air. The port, Thunderbolt 4 on one side only, no HDMI, no USB-A, no SD card slot on my MacBook Air. It's sort of a trade-off I was willing to live because my workflow allows for it. I have a USB-C SD card reader that I can use if I need to offload media here, but I don't, because my workflow is I record everything, offload to my Windows computer because it has an SD card slot, and I have an app that I just click, it syncs all my files, I move them to the correct folder, and then it synchronizes on my MacBook here, and I can edit from there straight up. Now, as a creator that shoots to SD cards, missing the SD card slot is a frustration for a lot of people, but if you don't have the right tools, it's gonna frustrate you even more. For me, it's not a frustration because I have the ability to just slot in my Windows computer, plan everything here, move it over there. I carry that up if I need to, but most times I don't ever need because I have my trusted Synology NAS, and if I need to record to edit videos on the road, I ensure that everything is synchronized on both the computers before I head out. Even if I shoot outdoors, if I decide to edit on the way home, if I shoot outdoors, I rarely do that. I'll probably carry my Windows computer because I know that fully supports the SD card workflow for me. So that is one thing that I actually do not like about my M5 MacBook Air, but if I need to, because proper planning is also very crucial in this whole matter. If I'm shooting outside and I know I don't want to carry heavy load, I carry my M5 MacBook Air, I ensure I carry my SD card reader, and I'm fine. Okay, now this is one other thing, the Apple ecosystem. I use an Android phone, my Google Pixel 10 Pro XL, and I use a Windows machine for my heavy work. AirDrop is irrelevant to me. Why? Because I don't need it. Why don't I need it? Because I use my own private workflow for managing my files. If I shoot on my phone, in the next couple of minutes or seconds, it's available on my computer anyways. That instant time file sharing, I don't need it. So AirDrop doesn't really matter for me. But the cool thing is, my Pixel 10 Pro XL can actually AirDrop to my iPad or my MacBook Air because it supports it. So if I ever need to AirDrop, I can AirDrop, but I don't AirDrop. But I used to sometimes brag to my wife. A funny thing is, I said a couple of years back I would kill to always have a touchscreen computer, but I have not missed it one bit because I have this, my Wacom drawing tablet. If I need to do anything on Windows, I even still have my VEC A50 here if I need to do that, because I know I'll be on the desk to do that, so it's not really super duper important. And the cool thing is, hey, I still have my Samsung S9 tab I could use to draw, and I also have my M4 Mac iPad here for drawing stuff, and I also have a workflow for my diagrams also. So I don't exactly miss touchscreen on the computer or the MacBook not having a touchscreen. It's not a big deal to me because I can actually do, there's a name they call it, Sidecar. from my Mac to my iPad, and I can use the touchscreen feature on that, and it just works. It's not a deal breaker for me. And this is where Windows still wins for me every single day. I have only optimized my flow. I have not switched, and I will not be switching. My Lenovo has 64GB of RAM. NVIDIA 4070 handles everything my MacBook Air cannot. Okay? Every GPU accelerated work, it happens here. My final renders happen here because it's motor, local builds, where I need full Docker stuff. It runs on my Lenovo, and I use that for general coding, admin work, and every other thing that I use to run my content and my coding on DevOps Live. The thing is, I use the right tool for the job. The MacBook Air became the right tool for most of what I do today. And when I need to do specialized work, I rely on my desktop or my Lenovo Yoga Pro 9i when I'm on the go. The verdict is this. This is the verdict. For me, this is not a switch. And after days of using my M5 MacBook Air, it is my daily driver. Yes, not because it's better than my Windows computer. In some ways it is. In some ways it fails terribly. Not because it's better than my Windows computers, but simply because it reduces friction for the work that I do most often, and it's lighter. That is why it is my daily driver. Terminal sessions, cloud infrastructure, coding, content creation, recording, day-to-day editing, writing, all of it, silently, all day, anywhere, any device works, but I mostly will just rely on my M5 MacBook Air to do that for me. And when I need to do specialized work, I come over to my Lenovo. Every computer, my Lenovo and my desktop do the handling. This is actually just now my home server. Yes, it was a £4,000 home server. That I like that one. Yeah, my home server costs about $4,000. Decisions to make for the sake of tech. So, for a DevOps engineer creator who build their workflow on Windows, alright, and is Mac curious, the MacBook here at M5 at its price point is genuinely compelling, because to be honest, you probably don't need a MacBook Pro except you're doing a full switch. For a full switch, go MacBook Pro. Don't even think about it. Go MacBook Pro, at least 40GB of RAM, 2TB drive. You're gonna spend some money, yeah, I know that. But because I have my Lenovo Trusted, the M5 MacBook Air 24GB, 1TB just works for me. And that is it. That is what happened over 30 plus days of using the M5 MacBook Air as my daily driver. Now, if you want to see how this fits into my full multi-OS setup, the breakdown is somewhere here and in the video description. Drop a comment and tell me what your primary machine is and what you use it for every single day. I read every single one of your comments and I reply to them as soon as I'm able to, because hey, I'm a one-man studio. But you know what you can do to help me? Like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who is considering Mac versus Windows. They are still debating which one is better, either to buy both or they are trying to switch. I think this video will be very useful for them. Hit subscribe, like this video, share, and I guess I will see you in the next one. Stay safe and goodbye.